I've wanted to do a video on blitzing out of match quarters for a while now, back since I made the quarters explanation videos a few months ago. But like so many of the videos I promised on here, I just, forget about it or lose interest. But this is one I definitely want to come back to because it really is a totally new and effective way of playing pressure defense in this game. And going forward in Madden 20 as well, as these concepts will carry over really nicely. This year saw a lot of 6-man pressures online, mainly with cover 2 shells, just like this, where you'd have 6 blitzers and then you'd have, relatively safe coverage shell behind it with, 2 blanketing safeties and then 2 cornerbacks in the flats to take away any quick throws to the flat. And although it was decent in terms of, some of those 5-2 pressures or some of those nickel normal pressures getting in pretty hot, it put a lot of stress on the user defender where he had to cover essentially this entire area to all the way down the deep middle, all the way down here, all the way over here. So really it's just about guessing. You have to kind of bait one throw and then come back to another throw in order to lock down that entire area and hope that your rush comes through almost instantly. Or with cover 3 shells like this, but if you're adding an extra defender, deep, you're sacrificing one in the flat most likely. So you have to kind of bank on the fact that nobody's going to throw any quick throws to the flat that you're giving away, and then you're still kind of taking over things in the middle. So rather than going all the way deep like the one in the cover 2 shell, you still got the middle of the field, plus now you got to kind of protect the flat too. So a lot of glaring holes that, again, you're hoping that just the pressure comes through so quickly that you can't be exposed in that poor coverage behind it. You also have cover 0 man blitzes, which are probably more sound than the previous two because you pretty much always have every receiver accounted for, but then you'll likely have defenders, chasing drags and crossers all the way up and down the field, and really that's no good. And as you can see with here, with a lot of these trips formations, really kind of difficult to disguise as well. Or you'll see a combination of zone with man, so usually you'll see some, crazy cover 2 heat with some cross man involved in there, if you're playing somebody that's really running the same play over and over again. But then again, you're kind of guessing, and if you're playing with somebody with half a brain, you can get burned really, really bad playing like this. There is a better way to combine the soundness of man blitzes with the positional advantages of zone blitzes though, and that's with cover 4 match blitzes like I was saying. Unfortunately, these aren't in the game stock, but we can recreate them ourselves. It's a little adjustment heavy, but if you're up for the challenge, it can be a lot of fun. So the adjustments are a little bit different for kind of each formation, so I really suggest you follow closely here. So I'm going to kind of go through, most of the more popular ones and tell you which ones you should avoid as well. So really simple here, coming up against a standard spread 2x2 look. The adjustments you're going to do is, first of all, you're going to call cover 4 palms because that's going to allow us to defend some of the flats a little bit better with a few fewer flat defenders, and that'll make more sense in a little bit here. What you're going to do is, say in this case, you're going to pick the side of the running back and you're going to blitz that linebacker in. So now we don't have a flat defender over there, but what we're going to do is we're going to put the cornerback in a cloud flat and put the safety in a deep half. So now you kind of already have a split field coverage here, and you can even leave it like this. So this is kind of like a cover 6 without that extra vertical hook, and you can run a 5-man blitz here and be relatively, sound against everything else. Sure, you could definitely do that, but if we want to be really aggressive too, we can get rid of the other quarter flat. Or, we could, blitz the mic and then take over the quarter flat if we want. But for simplicity's sake, we'll just go ahead and blitz this guy as well. So what we have here is a split field coverage here where we're playing a 2-read concept on the left here. And if you're familiar at all with palms, that'll make sense to you, but it'll make sense even if you don't in a little bit here. And on the other side, we're playing kind of a zone look where either we're playing the cornerback underneath the safety, or we can do this whole thing where we're playing the safety underneath the cornerback. So these are things you can already kind of get a little bit unique and kind of creative with. But otherwise, for 2x2, it's going to be like this. So we're going to have a 6-man heat. We're going to be using the guy in the middle like we always want to do, and then we should have answers for most things. So if we have a play like this, for example, well, we know on the left side here, and I don't have 4 hands here, so just kind of bear with me. But on the left side, you have a streak and a post that are going to get carried by the cornerback and the safety on that side because they're going to be matching vertical threats, and you should be safe there. So already comparing this to the 6-man cover 2 heat, you have an option for that post. Whereas, for the cover 2 heat, you either need some sort of dangerous crossman situation, you have to defend that yourself with a user, or just hope that the blitz comes through. In this case, you're a little bit more sound there already. On the right, you have a streak from Owens that's going to get obviously, bracketed by the cover 2 on that side. And then all that's left is that as a user defender, what you're basically keying on is any crossing threats from the zone side coming to the match side. Because now we don't have a flat defender over on this side, we're going to carry with that drag all the way across the field. So we'll show you how that kind of plays out. So just like this, and the heat will come through. Showing the instant replay, we can already look on the left side here. The streak and the post are covered. We can go back here. The streak over here is obviously covered, and we have it a kind of inverted cover 2 look, but whatever we chose there would be okay. And then over here with the drag, we have that covered with the user, and our 6-man heat comes through. So notes about the halfback. So obviously, what I was going over there, I kind of neglected the halfback, but the reason why we put the zone side to the halfback, and let me just kind of set it up again, it's pretty quick to set up, is that if the back flares out to his side, there'll be that cloud flat waiting for him, or that curl flat, or that hard flat, whatever you kind of want to do there. But if you are worried about the back kind of flaring to the other side, or kind of going through the middle, you do have the option of taking one of your defensive ends or defensive tackles, say this guy, you can just go ahead and man him up. And what you would do is that if he goes on his route, you let it be, sure. If it's a route that you think should be covered. Or if that back stays into block and you want that extra blitz defender, you can just click your right stick in and you'll get that guy come through anyway. Or if you want to avoid all that, you can also kind of, bluff blitz yourself or something like that, just to signify to your opponent that, okay, it's possible I'm bringing heat here. And then if you really don't want to deal with the back, you can just kind of almost, force your opponent into blocking him. But, there's a few different ways about it, and I think that's kind of enough. Something I didn't really touch on totally is that, okay, what if your opponent sees your flat defender blitzing from the 2-read side over here? Well, we know that if they're trying to throw something quick out here, that cornerback is actually going to trap that. So just like this, he's going to come down, and if you throw that, you have an opportunity for interception, pick 6 or something. So you already see how this is going to be, a really sound 6-man blitz defense. The only thing that I would kind of be concerned about is posts coming from the right side. So, what I was saying is you're going to be covering crossers coming from the right to the left. Ideally, those are the more shallow ones that you can kind of key on that, your opponent is going to be looking to throw those quick throws when they see that 6-man pressure, and hopefully you're on that. But if the pressure doesn't come through and then they say have a post from the slot or even from the wide receiver there, none of those spot drop zones on the cover 2 side or cover 2 invert side are going to carry that. And although you'll have these zones likely up there, say if you're running a streak from that side or something, one of those guys might be there ready to help defend that post. But if they're not, and if you're not ready to carry it, you could be vulnerable for a one-play touchdown. But that's just something to keep in mind. You could also set this up out of cover 6. And if you call cover 6, this deep half safety will carry those posts over. But what's unfortunate is that this side you don't have that 2-read that I just showed you where the cornerback will trap the out and come down on it. But that's a decision you can make. So you can call this out of palms and be wary of posts coming from this side, or you can call it out of cover 6 and be wary of quick outs coming to this side. But that's something you could possibly mix in depending on what you see from your opponent's tendencies. Against 1x3 formations like this one, so just coming out in trips 4 verticals, just for the sake of demonstration here, all you really have to do is take control of the weak side safety, so the guy away from the trips, and just blitz your linebackers. And just like that, you have 6-man pressure and everything is sound. And of course, we'll go into that, why that's sound. Now, this video isn't really about what the best type of blitz is behind it. I don't know, maybe if you move this guy out here, maybe things are a little bit better. This is more just covering the coverage concepts behind it. This, maybe for Madden 20, we'll look into which ones are working better for the blitzes. But for now, we'll just look at the coverages. Now, if you know that when you're running, and even at this point, palms or quarters against trips, unless in certain situations they aren't the same, but in most cases they're the same. These cornerbacks, left and right, are essentially in man coverage. Okay, so you don't have to put them in man coverage, but actually if you manually put them in man coverage, they play a little bit better. So that's something you can do. Again, if you're wary of the back, you can man coverage one of your defensive ends, and then if he stays into block, you can click down on the right stick to let him blitz as well. Or if somebody's just blocking their halfback, you don't really have to worry about it. Then what you're going to be doing is essentially playing a triangle coverage over the tight end and the slot receiver. So you're going to be using the backside safety, or if you want, you can blitz that backside safety and control the linebacker here if you're more comfortable with using that. And you're going to be playing a triangle coverage here. You're going to be playing the inside short with your user. This quarter flat is going to be playing outside and up. And this safety here is going to be playing basically, the deeper area, depending on how things kind of distribute themselves. So let's just kind of go over 4 verticals here, how I would run that. So I don't have anything really inside, except I'll play maybe underneath that 4 vertical crosser. And we see how the wide receivers get carried, obviously in man coverage. The slot defender gets carried by the quarter flat, though, his speed can't really match up. He actually ends up getting burnt. And then you have a bracket on this crosser right here. And then if that back were to flare out, again, we would have the defensive end playing in man coverage on him. But pretty solid against a pretty, basic offense there. Then what happens if, say, that number 2 wide receiver is coming short on that shallow drag? Well, as the inside short defender of our triangle coverage, we would be playing that all the way over here because there's no flat defender. But if you're really good, you could be playing that while keeping an eye on the crosser to potentially bait that. So it would kind of work like this, like this, like this, like this, and hopefully your guy comes in. So then what if we get something a little bit more sophisticated like this, where we have this sail concept to the right here? Well, again, we should be covered because the strong side cornerback will carry the vertical release from Moss. The quarter flat will take, the short outside threats, like the flat from Gonzalez here, and then the strong side safety will take that corner from Owens. And then you have nothing coming in over the middle, so you can, you're a +1 defender there essentially. So you can go, maybe help out in the corner route if you see fit, or you can come back and rob, any backside threats coming from the solo wide receiver, whether that's a dig or a drag or what have you. So, it would play out essentially like this. Just like this. I don't really need to go over there. I can help out here. And the pass rush comes through. Again, just as I explained it, cornerback covers. The flat covers the flat. Strong safety takes the corner route. We don't really need to be there. We can help out on the backside. And the pass rush comes through. Now, things aren't always the same, so this is another 3-by-1 formation, trips formation, but this is trips tight end. So the tight end is, or the solo side wide receiver is now a tight end on the line of scrimmage, so the leverage doesn't work out quite as well for the cornerback here to be in man coverage with him. So, if you're kind of really interested in kind of going this way, you can be a little bit smarter with it. So you can maybe put this linebacker man coverage of the tight end, so you're a little bit, more matched up with your personnel wise, and then he's in a little bit better position to cover him, say if he's breaking inside on a drag or something like that. Then you would blitz this guy, and then you would actually blitz the cornerback as well. And then from there, you take the backside safety here. You're playing triangle coverage with him, strong side safety, and the slot defender on Rice and Owens there. And then, of course, this guy's going to be in man coverage there. So you have a nice 6-man pressure, just like before, except it's a little bit different. Now you have kind of interesting situation here where, sometimes you'll see this whole max protect situation here. What's cool about that is that this linebacker over here is going to add to the blitz if that tight end is blocking. And if he doesn't, sometimes he kind of bugs out. Just, again, like I was saying with the defensive end, just click your right stick in and he'll come in. So just like this, click him through and you got a lot of heat coming in. So that's all I'll really show for this video here, but you know, with depending on the type of formation, there's different things you can do, and you can be a little bit more creative with it as well, as long as you're safe, you know, in the back end in terms of how your coverage principles work out. And I think what I've shown, you know, here in this video is really the best way of going about it, rather than, you know, sending 6 and trying to play cover 2 or cover 3 behind it. I think this is the most sound. Now, is it, you know, going to be, you know, foolproof? No, it's still, you know, a very light zone coverage with only 5 defenders. So there are going to be holes, of course, but I think this is kind of the strongest way of going about it. There are, you know, certain formations that I avoid. So like compression, I think I already said that. Compression I would avoid. Certain formations that have a lot of tight ends or things like that. Other things I didn't really mention for 2x2 is that even though you're calling palms, if the number 2 wide receiver is attached to the line of scrimmage, attached to the offensive line like a tight end, they won't actually play 2-read, they'll just play regular quarters. So we won't be able to say, you know, rely on the fact that this cornerback will cut any outward breaking routes from your tight end. So I would make sure that if they come out with a doubles look like this with a tight end, that's the side you pick to do your cover 2 side. In this case, it works out anyway because the back is there. But if it were a formation like this, then you're in a bit of kind of a tricky situation because what I was saying before is that you want your cover 2 side to the back, and now you're having the cover 2 side to tight end, but they're on different sides. I would put my preference on the tight end, and then with the back we can, you know, try to bluff blitz, try to get our opponent to block him, or put the defensive end on man coverage or, you know, a green dog blitz type of thing. But yeah, that's it. I might do another video on this when Madden 20 comes out, if things get a little bit differently, how quarters and palms kind of shake out, especially in these 1x3 sets, and especially, you know, if we even need the blitz because the pass rush seemed to be so good. But either way, I think it's definitely something interesting, definitely something you should play around with towards the end of Madden 19, get comfortable with, because I think it's really, really a fantastic way of playing pressure defense. I know I definitely like to run it, and I would like to hear from you guys, so let me know if you like it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.